Hello. With the quickly increasing temperature of the global climate, there are a lot of issues that are a result of it. As climatologists, Make It Rain has come up with a solution to global warming.
Our solution involves the Greenland ice sheet, which holds 8% of the entire world's fresh water supply. Our plan is to set up an explosion to kickstart melting a quarter of the ice sheet, which will dump fresh water into the salt water of the ocean, stopping the global ocean conveyor belt that causes the warm weather to happen, which will send us into a mini ice age.
Greenland itself has a surface area of 836,300 miles squared. However, the Greenland ice sheet has a surface area of 660,200 miles squared. That means approximately 80% of Greenland is a glacier. The glacier itself is about 6,600 to 9,800 feet deep at its thickest point, which is more than 3 kilometers and has an average higher than 2 kilometers for all around altitude. There is a whopping total of 2,850,000 kilometers cubed of ice, and if all of that were to melt, sea level would rise about 24 feet, which would be catastrophic.
We assume it takes 768,000 tons of water to elevate the sea level by 1 foot. So you multiply that by 6 and you get 4.6 million tons of water to make the sea level rise by 6 feet, which we assume will cause a mini ice age.
In the United States, the coastal cities would be hit the hardest. The East Coast would suffer the majority of the damage. Cities that would suffer damage extensively would be Miami, Jacksonville, Savannah, Charleston, Norfolk, Richmond, DC, Philadelphia, New York, Boston, Providence, and Augusta. Louisiana would also be hit hard too, since they are already below sea level. However, California would also struggle in its bay areas due to flooding. The number of people alone in the United States that would be immediately affected would be barely north of 50 million people. However, later numbers that would come from lowland flooding would be north of 100 million. In other areas of the world, such as Australia and Great Britain, would be catastrophic. Many of these countries' populations lie on the coast. Australia's population, or at least 68% of it, would be affected immediately. In Great Britain, 47% of the population would be affected immediately, and later, 1 year, that number would rise to north of 60%. The relocation of these people would be extensive. There would be overcrowding in many cities in the United States, but many of these people could relocate inland since much of the United States is inhabitable. However, many other countries do not have room for relocation, especially Australia. Inner Australia is a complete desert, so all those people along the coast would have to find somewhere else to be. Also, in Great Britain, it is a small area and not much of their population has anywhere to relocate.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take the 3 outlet glaciers on the coast of Greenland that directly lead to the Atlantic. We're going to take 3 of those and we're going to exploit the weak spots in those glaciers. Now here's a video that will explain comprehensively what those look like.
Renault's team found that Greenland's glaciers flowing into the ocean are grounded deeper below sea level than previously measured. This means that the warm ocean currents at depth can sweep across the glacier faces and erode them. In polar regions, the upper layers of ocean water are cold and fresh, he explains. Cold water is less effective at melting ice.
We're going to take a compound called thermite. Now, thermite is a pyrotechnic compound that is made up of metal powder, fuels, and some metal oxide. Now, when thermite burns, it burns at 2,000 degrees Celsius. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this powder, we're going to take about 20 kgs of it, and we're going to put it into oil drums. Separate oil drums, multiple oil drums, and we're going to take those oil drums and we're going to drill down into the weak spots of those glaciers. We're going to line up those, through drilling, we're going to line up those oil drums at about 5 meters apart. We are then going to hook up an electrical charge to each individual oil drum. We're then going to trace that back to a safe distance and ignite them. Now that's going to melt those glaciers, and boom, look, I made a mini ice age, and it only took me about 10 seconds, 11 tops.
Hey look, I made a bridge. It only took me like, what, 10 seconds? 11 tops.
Now, when that water floods into the ocean, all that fresh water is going to then disrupt the ocean conveyor belt that pushes all of the warm water around the Earth. And that's how that ice age is going to be created. In conclusion, through our extensive planning and comprehensive efforts, we have found a solution that will create a positive change in our climate and reduce the rapid heating of the Earth.